Shall we begin?
Let's begin now.
Hi everybody, it's Doreen and welcome back to Mother's Day Cards with the Cricut. This is our last card of the series. So today's cartridge we will be using is the Preserves cartridge. And this is a really old one. So our card for today looks like this. So come on and join me and I'm going to show you how I made this card. Okay everybody, so we're going to bring up the supplies so we can get started making the last card of the series. Now this card, I got the idea not from someone, I don't know if she has a YouTube channel or not, but I saw this card on her blog and I really liked the card and decided that I wanted to make it as well. Now she didn't give any measurements on her blog for the card, she just told what cartridge she used. So I did my own measurements and as you can see it's a pretty big card, but I did like the way it came out. So now the card is from the Preserves cartridge and it is not a card feature in the cartridge. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to do some welding with your gypsy. So if you don't have a gypsy, you can try making this card using the Cricut craft room because there is a weld feature in the Cricut craft room. So you can do the same thing. So it does say on the handbook that it is a card, but I'm not quite sure. I think I know what they wanted you to do, but I didn't do it that way. So I'm going to tell you what I did, and then you can go ahead and do the same thing, or you can do something different. So now, the card that I'm making is on page 51, and it's this one right here. I'm sorry, it's on page 71, not 51. So we'll go to our gypsy, and I'll show you how I set mine up. So what I actually did was I laid one of the card features out, and we're going to go to that cartridge, and it is key number 48, and it looks like this. So I put one on my mat first, and I put that at 5.5 inches with my real dial size on. I don't take the aspect ratio off, I left that on. And then I put a second one on my card by doing a copy, and then I took the two and grouped them together and then welded them. So I probably could have did it a different way, but I ended up doing it like that because that was the way I decided to do it. So this is just some plain white Recollections cardstock. So what I'm going to do next is I then went ahead and cut a second layer. And this piece measures, let's see, it is 5 inches. And it is, I hit the same key. You're going to hit the card, I'm sorry, I didn't say that before. You'll hit the card button and then key 48. And you'll get the same thing. But you're going to cut that one at 5 inches and leave your real dial size on to cut that. So what we'll do next is we're going to just lay this down on here, and I've also gone ahead and inked my edges using the Stampin' Up! Rose Romance. So now I'm just going to line this up like so. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and tape this down because we need to get that frame with the roses on here, and it'll be too hard to get the tape on the back if we do that second. So I'm not going to be adding any ribbon. So I'm just going to take out my ATG gun, and we're going to get some tape on the back of here, and then we're going to add this piece to the card. So I'm just going to just put some rolls of tape, and I always like to do a little crisscross. I know it seems like I may be using a lot of tape, but I always like to do that because I want to make sure everything sticks down. So I'm going to open up the card, and then I'm going to lay it down. Now, I didn't ink the edges of the card itself. I decided I wanted to have that white border on the side there. Okay, so now that we've got our piece, our top layer on, we're going to put our card aside, and then we're going to start setting up our frame. Well, actually, we're going to put our white cardstock down. Now, this piece of cardstock is just some Recollections cardstock, and I cut this. It is 3 inches by 4 inches, and you can cut this on your paper trimmer, or what I did was I cut it on using my Cricut and the Gypsy. I used the George and Basic cartridge to cut this. So I've got some faint pencil marks here where I'm going to line them up, and we're going to add this to our top layer. And I'm not going to ink my edges, and you'll see why in a moment, because you're really not going to see the edges of this layer, because this is just your actual framework to add your roses. And as I said, on her website, she didn't give any measurements, so I did all this from just looking at the picture of the card. And I will include her blog down at the bottom, down here in the description bar. Okay, so now that we have that lined up and on, we're now going to start adding our roses. So now, the roses are from the Creative Time by Emma, or I'm sorry, My Creative Time by Emma, and she has a YouTube channel as well as a website, and I'll put a link to her website with her store in the description bar. And I noticed when I bought these that if you look at them, if you don't have the rolled flower die, you can also use the Tim Holtz tattered floral die. That die looks similar to her die. So now what I've done is I've taken and made up my roses, which look like this, and I have about 14 of these that I made up. And I also took just some pink cardstock, and I inked the edges once again using the Stampin' Up! Rose Romance. And then I put all of my roses together. So I'm going to just line them up for right now where I want them. And then once we get them all lined up, we're going to add them using the glue gun. We're going to add them to the card. So I'm going to try to get 5 across and 4 down to make up my frame. So I'm going to do that, and then once I have them all lined up, I'll come back. Okay, everybody, I just realized something. Before you actually line up and put your frame down, you want to go ahead and put your picture, if you're going to put a picture or if you're going to put a sentiment in the inside of the frame, you should do that first, because once you get the flowers on, you won't be able to, unless you leave an opening up here, you won't be able to slide your picture in. So what I am doing is I'm going to finish putting on my embellishments, and then we'll put the flowers on. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and taken a picture, because this card is going to be for my mother. So I've just taken a picture of myself, and I'm going to put that right there. So let me get some tape on the back, and I'm just going to use the Tombow adhesive to do that. This is the most recent picture, because I'm not a picture taker, so this is the most recent one that I have for her. So we'll line that up and place that and right within here. And then I'm also going to add my embellishment as well on the side here, which I'm going to place right along here to make sure I have enough room still for the flowers, which I do. Okay, and then we'll add our second one, and what I'm going to do is just place a flower here so I know I have enough room to add my embellishment. And I think this time I'm going to use the tweezers to do this, because this is very sticky and it's sticking to my fingers as I'm adding it down. Okay, so I didn't get them even, but let's see if I can get it off and try to get them where they're just a little bit more even with each other in height. And I think if I go about right there, that should be as even as I'm going to get it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start laying my flowers down again. And as I said, I'm going to have 5 going across, like so. I'm going to squeeze one more in there. And then we'll have 4 on the side. So I'll finish adding those, and then I'll be back once they've been added and glued on. Okay everybody, so I am back and I am ready to add the last 2 roses to the little frame that I formed. And I'm going to place 1 rose right here, and then we'll add that last rose to complete the frame. So that is the completed frame, and this is the front of my card. So now for the inside, I have cut out using some pink cardstock. This piece of cardstock measures 5.5 by 5.5 by 5.5, and then I've taken the scraps that were left over from my top layer here, and this is cut at 5.25 by 4.25. And then I've taken my Martha Stewart punch. This is the scallop 3-dot, and just made a little scallop border up here at the top. So this is going to go in the inside of my card right here. So we can add this by, we're going to take our ATG gun again and get some tape on here. Make sure we get tape all the way around on our edges, and then we'll get some tape in the middle. And then we'll add this this to the inside of the card. I'm going to press down all the way around. Now I do have a sentiment that I'm going to be putting in here, but it's a little personal to my mother, so I'm not going to go ahead and read that one out loud and add that one. Now that we've put our inside borders in, I'm going to go ahead and I just want to add just a few more things on the front of the card. So once I do that, I'll come back with the finished card. Okay everybody, so I am back with my finished card. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and added some pearls up here at the top and some pearls down at the bottom, and then I added the butterfly using the Cherry Lin dies. So that's it, everybody. This is the last card of the series, card number 8 of Mother's Day cards with the Cricut. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I hope I've given you some ideas for making your Mother's Day cards. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.